Perfect. Right. So let me move forward. So of course, I think everyone knows here. So this is about data engineering with Azure, AWS, and then Fabric. But our heavy lifting will be on Azure. But like I've said, I'll walk you through in very detail on what services we are going to cover during the end of the session, basically. Yes. But I don't title itself as Azure Data Engineer. Rather, I wanted this to title as Data Engineering with Azure, AWS, and then Fabric. You will understand it shortly. Yeah. There's little difference, but not major. So let me move to the slide number 2. This is my first and last slide, guys. Generally, I don't have any slides since it is demo, so I'm just maintaining it in the slides basically. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to cover some of the topics. What is cloud computing? Benefits being on-premise and then the cloud. And firstly, we'll also try to understand what is on-premise and then what is cloud. And we'll talk about Microsoft Azure and majorly into data and data engineering. What are these terms is something one have to understand. And finally, we'll talk about Fabric. And also I'll walk you through the portal as well, the Azure portal I meant to say, right? Now let's, even before we get into and then try to understand what is Azure and how you can access blah, blah, blah. First, let's try to understand what is cloud computing. Because the technology that we are going to start learning from tomorrow is on the cloud. So first, let's go ahead and then try to understand what is cloud computing. Yeah. See here. I think everyone here have some other way exposure towards IT, right? Basic exposure. I'm not expecting you to have too much of expert level knowledge over there basically, right? So given that point to you, so let's say if you are able to access a server or a storage or a file which is located on a shared folder, and say the way you can download and then install it on your machine, or connect to a system which is located away from your system, and again connect to an application or connect to an system. If you are able to do these activities only via internet, say you are unable to perform those activities without internet, then we consider that as a cloud. So that's nothing but cloud computing. So the cloud platforms can be accessed only via internet. So maybe many of you, generally ask me, what is the prerequisite to learn Azure? So yes, on the other part, the prerequisite is to have the live internet, right? But of course, there were many, I'm just joking, yes. So a live internet is needed to access or to perform these activities which are running on the cloud. Say if we are able to perform the same activities even without internet, say we are working in one organization and then say we are connected to the LAN, local area network. And if you are still able to perform these activities, then it's nothing but the on-premise. See, in on-premise, not necessarily that we need to have the internet. If you are connected on the same system, as we can access the files which are located on each other system, right? Now let's try to deep dive and then understand it because it is such an important concept to go by. First, let's try to understand what is on-premise and then what is cloud. I have a small, table which helps you to understand the difference between them. The first one is upfront cost is high, and on the cloud, it is pay-as-you-go model, right? Now let me, walk you through a real life scenario rather than the textbook definitions and then so basically. Say we all are friends and then we know each other. We have a variety of skill sets into the technology, I mean to say. Say we gathered each other and then we try to, or we have a plan to develop a product over the next 6 months. The idea is to develop a software product or an application and then market it, gain some customers, and then gain some revenue out of it. Say that's our agenda. So to start with, right, to start working on any project, what is that we need to have first? First, we need to have the capital. And because we need to purchase the hardware and then so many other things comes into picture, right? Say we don't have the capital, but we have much talent and we also have the roadmap on what to do for the next 6 months to develop the product. So we loaned, from a bank, say 10 lakh rupees, right? 10 lakh rupees INR, say we loaned from a bank and then we purchase the infrastructure and then because the first thing we need to have is the server, right? Because we need to have the application running 24/7. So for that, we need to have a server that should run 24/7, right? So if we purchase a server, yes, we need to have a team who have to maintain the server just to make sure it is not down, right? And also assume, we have recruited some people and then who have to, maintain the particular server, and say we purchase the applications license and then so on, basically, right? Because to start working on any project, first we need to have the infra in place, right? That respective license also in place, right? And say we have set up everything, and then let's assume over the next 6 months we have worked on develop the product. At the end of 6 months, we have the product, and then when we try to market it, we got a negative feedback rather than positive. And we declared our product is a flop. So yes, this is the case of on-premise. Listen to me very carefully, right? So the product is a flop. So we declared it as a flop. So what will happen to the capital that we have raised? So it is waste of money, right? 80% will go. Even if you resell the hardware in the second-hand market, maybe you can recover 20 or 30%, not more than that. So that means straight away 8 lakh rupees is the loss. Now let's take the same context on the cloud. Again, we have a roadmap to do something for the next 6 months and then develop a product, gain some customers, and then gain some revenue out of it. Cloud runs on pay as you go, right? And the infra is ready basically, right? So what does this mean is on the cloud, we will pay only for the duration that we consume, not for the entire 6 months. Say, for example, we started working on the product and then say we have consumed 30 hours for the given month. Say in the month of January, we have consumed 30%, sorry, 30 hours of the Azure compute or the resources, right? We'll pay only for the 30 hours, not for the entire 30 days into 24 hours. No, only for 30 hours we pay, right? So that is considered as pay as you go. And again, let's take the same story. We develop for the next 6 months, and then we try to gain the customers, and we got negative feedback. Again, we declare the product is a flop. But in this case, hardly we will pay 2 to 3 lakhs for the 6 months of duration that we have consumed their resources. Might not be more than that. So that means here the loss is just 2 to 3 lakhs versus 8 lakhs on premise, right? See, of course, in both of the cases, we had a bad story, but still look at the saving and then the time. See, on the cloud, you need not to worry about the infra, right? Infrastructure. What kind of server we have to set up, how much RAM it should have, what should be the configuration, how many employees we have to recruit to maintain that. No, there is no such story because in this particular case, Azure take care of it, right? So that's how we can understand pay as you, right? And the next one is no automatic updates. Here, automatic updates. And in on-premise, upgrading is not so flexible. I mean, to the services or the applications, upgrading is not so flexible, but here it is extremely flexible. See, again, I'll give you a live example here. See, we all use internet banking, right? Could be SBI, HDFC, and blah, 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 right? See, if you could notice one thing, every quarter or half year, we'll get a message from our banker saying that, dear customer, from this time to this time, our online banking services will not be working, right? It will be down for that particular duration. Sorry for the inconvenience caused, right? So have you ever think of, what they do during that time? Why they have to take these systems down so that customers are unable to access it? Right? Because they will roll out updates, upgrades, maybe bug fixing, rolling out new feature or patches. It could be the case. But the applications that runs on-premise will need a downtime for sure. If we take the same case on the cloud, no. The applications or the services that running on the cloud, of course, even though get updates, though they get upgrades, patches, bug fixes, but it doesn't need any downtime because all of them happens behind the screens. So that's the beauty of being on the cloud. I would say the benefit being on the cloud at least. And the last one is data cannot be accessed remotely and data can be accessed remotely. See, we all work from home, right? Irrespective to the domain, services and then so on basically. But how do we, typically connect to the organization servers just by sitting at the home? Via VPN, right? I think everyone uses VPN, right? There is no other way of connecting to the servers, no otherwise basically. Virtual private network, right? But VPNs comes with restrictions, right? Maybe most of you must be knowing. So say, for example, the company which I work at, we have a VPN limitation, could be limitation or could be a compliance. We can also think in such a way. See, our VPNs will work only with India-based IP addresses. The moment my laptop observes a IP which is outside of India, it won't connect, right? And there are other limitations also, not only from my company. I've heard from my friends who are working in different organizations, their VPN disconnects every 2 hours for the security reasons, or could be a limitation also at the same time, right? Anyway, let's not deep dive into it because that's not our subject here. But yes, VPNs comes with limitations, right? So that's why I've said it's not cannot be accessed remotely. But if you take the same case on the cloud, yes, you can sit anywhere in the world, irrespective to the IP address that you use, irrespective to the device that you use. You can use your laptop, desktop, could be your mobile as well as the tablet, right? Given it is connected to the internet, and if you are authenticated, in the right way, yes, you can access the data, right? Any device, anywhere on the world, you could access the data which is located on the cloud. So that's the other difference and then the benefit that we have being on the cloud. Right? So now you got some context, what is on-premise and then what is cloud. Now let's jump in and then try to understand Microsoft Azure now. So initially, Microsoft Azure was named as Windows Azure. So yeah, Windows Azure. But later, immediately they have named as Microsoft Azure. Okay, boss, that is fine. But what is Microsoft Azure? Did anyone think of that? What is Microsoft Azure? So it's a public cloud computing platform from Microsoft. So I would say Microsoft public cloud computing platform. So that means we are public to Microsoft, right? So that means people like us can technically create an account on the portal, and then we can start using the services right the moment we create the account. And right the moment, let's say if I create the account in the next 5 minutes, from 6th minute onwards, I can use the services that are available on the particular portal. But how to create it, we'll talk about it day after tomorrow, guys. But say if you are able to create, that's the process, right? So they provide 200 and plus services. But of course, like I've said, we'll be learning more than 12 different services, which I'll showcase you shortly. But yes, they provide 200 and plus services. That means the moment you create the account, you are able to, or one can able to access all the 200 services that are available there. And we can have applications like, yeah, excuse me. Say, let's say if you have a project that you are running, say from the last 5 years, or let's say from last 3 years, even such applications can be migrated to the Microsoft Azure, or you can also work on a project from the scratch. Say if you are going to start working on a project from the scratch, yes, you can as well do it on Azure, right? It provides wide variety of services and wide variety of features as well, basically, right? So that's Microsoft Azure for us basically. Right. Right. Now let's talk about ADF, Azure Data Factory, which is one of, I would say, the core service for data engineers. Right. In the next slide, I'll showcase where do we stand with respect to the architecture. But let's first try to understand what is ADF first, why it is so important for data engineers firstly. Right. Of course, it went live, on August 2015. So now, it's been more than 10 years, right? So what is ADF? By the way, guys, ADF stands for Azure. My writing is bad, but bear with me. Azure Data Factory. Maybe most
Factory.
of you know it, right? Yes, correct. Azure Data Factory. Okay, boss, that is fine. But what is ADF, right? So yes, ADF is a ETL, right? ETL. Extract. Anyone, guys?
Transformation.
Transformation load.
Loading.
Perfect, perfect. Right? Extract, transform, and then load. Very important concept for us, right? And that too, this ETL is a cloud-based ETL. So that means this particular process will run on the Azure servers or on Azure compute. You can also call it in such a way, basically, right? So that's why we call it as cloud-based ETL. So which is a data integration service that allows us to perform ETL capabilities, right? Let me help you understand what is this ETL. right? So technically sounds good, but let's get into a I would say a generic discussion, very real life discussion. Again, I won't go by textbook. Even I don't like going by textbook definitions, right? You need not to come to a person like Shiva to understand textbook definitions, right? You can as well Google, go by Chat GPT, and then understand it, right? Let's go by a real life case basically. Say for example, I wanted to read a book, a novel, which is in my at my home in a rack. If I have to read, what I have to do? I have to reach to the book, take the book from the rack, open it, flip through the pages, read it, close it, and place it back. And that's the sequence of steps anyone does, irrespective to the place you are at. Right? I repeat, you walk to the book, pick it from the rack, open it, flip through the pages, read it and then close it once you're done and place the book back. Right? Now let me help you understand with the ETL terms. Extract means pick the book from the rack. So that is considered as extract. Transform means open the book, flip through the pages. Read through, flip through the pages. That is considered as transform. Load means you place the book back. But while placing the book back, you can place the book either in the same position, either in the same place or in a different place also at the same time. But here also the same thing. You can load the data either in the same, in the same server or could be a different server also at the same time, right? If this is good, let me help you understand the same ETL with a data engineering terminology, right? See, say you have data in a Excel file, text file, say SQL server, and then so on. Let's not complicate. Let's make it simple. Day one, right? Let's make it simple. What we can do with Azure Data Factory is we can extract the data from all these sources. E stands for extract, using Azure Data Factory, and then transform the data. That means change the way it is. Transform means, guys, add a new column, remove the existing column, filter the rows based on some condition, pivot the data, sort the data, unpivot the data, aggregate it. There were many, right? Those are transformations. And then load the data. Maybe you can load the data into a different database, right? Could be anything, basically. Could be anything, right? So let me go very generic way, at least for today. So this is something which can be done using Data Factory, right? So does it only supports Excel, text, and SQL? No, guys. It supports more than 100 plus sources. Be it IBM database, be it AWS database, be it Google database, be it Snowflake, Salesforce, whatnot. Likewise, it supports 100 plus sources, guys. Right? I just gave 3 source names as an example for you to understand simply. That's all. It's not uh, it's not that it only supports these 3 sources. It supports 100 sources, right? So we can develop the ETL processes, very complex ETL process also, and then also we can view the way how the ETL works at the same time, right? So I would say, given the experience that I carry, ADF have very rich user interface when you compare with any ETL in the market. Because there were many ETLs in the market, by the way, not only ADF, many were there. See, ADF has just released in 2015, right? So like I've told you, I have more than 13 years of experience. So then how we are working on these ETLs prior to 2015, right? But it just released in the market 2015. It doesn't mean people have started working on ADF starting from 2015, right? So actually the people, not the people, the organizations have started using it from 2020, right? So from last 5 years only, organizations have started using it. But prior to that, we were using different set of ETLs, right? I'll talk about them in a shortly, basically, right? But keep this point in mind. Yes, there are wide variety of ETL services and then the tools that are available in the market. But I would still say ADF have very rich user interface when you compare with many of them, right? Because I have worked on multiple different ETLs, basically, right? Anyway, now let's come to the next one. Okay, boss, everything looks good, but what is data, right? So if there is no data, there is no data engineering, and then there is no ETL and then stuff, right? So everything starts with data. Maybe I've said this to many of you when we were talking, on the phone, right? So what is data, right? See, it's the information, right? Data is nothing but the information, and the information could be in the form of text, could be in the form of photo, images, sound, sensor signals, and then so on, right? So which can be captured and then stored. So that is considered as data. See, we are talking on the Zoom from last 20-25 minutes. So that means we are generating a lot of data. Our laptops are generating a lot of data. It is consuming a lot of data at the same time. Again, I've said this same point. Take any application, any service, any tool that is running on an electronic device that could be connected to the internet or not. It generates data. You can take 1 week of time and tell me a service or application that is not generating the data. It is running on a laptop or could be mobile or could be tablet. Say that particular service or the application or the tool is running on an electronic device and not generating any data. You tell me one single application, even I'll learn from you. Okay, so every process that runs on the electronic device generates data. Right? But of course, the volumes of data it is generating have increased rapidly over the years. So that is why we come into picture and we have very good market when you compare. Right? But anyway, that's not my zone. How it is in the market, but my point is, that's where data engineering stands basically, right? So we as a data engineers process by collecting and storing that particular data, and then we make the data in such a way where the management at the client side can consume it and then take business decisions on top of it. So that's data engineer's responsibility, right? Again, I'll repeat with the architecture. So where do we stand, right? Many of you have this question, right? Might or might not, but guys, this is a valid question that one have to raise. Okay, boss, you all are talking about data engineering, but where do I stand as a data engineer? Or where do we stand as a data engineers, right? So which is, pretty much important in nature is what I extremely believe in basically, right? See, I'll split this architecture into two. One is data engineering portion and data analyst. Many of you are from Power BI background, right? I spoke most of you, who have joined today, basically, right? I have seen many of you have Power BI knowledge. Could be beginners level or expert, I don't mind, but you have some knowledge towards Power BI. See yourself, where do you stand also at the same time, right? Let me start. Data engineering, right? Say you have critical device data, means, data from hospitals. Say financial transactions, could be ATM, could be the bank data, point of sale, say DMart or Target, Walmart, right? Supermarket, kind of data, point of sale. So that's where we purchase some products, we check in and then we pay the amount and then we walk out. Right? So point of sale, right? So as a data engineer or as a data engineer using the services like Azure Data Factory, we can extract the data. Again, remember the term ETL, which is pretty much important for us. So this is bread and butter for me from the last 13 years, right? Extract. So we can extract the data, which is in those particular systems or the sources, we should call it as, and then load the data. So that is called as data ingestion. That means you load the data as is from the system or from the sources. So that's called data ingestion. So here we will have the raw data as is, extract and then load. Or else we can also perform data processing. That means perform the extract, transform the data. Transform means, like I've said, you can clean the data in such a way, remove some columns, filter down some rows, take only where country is equal to India, country is equal to United Kingdom, right? Or, maybe say sort the data, pivot the data, aggregate the data, right? So you keep the data in a clean and transformed format as per the business requirements, guys. See, we in every step of ETL, we have to develop the process in such a way that should satisfy the business requirement at the end of the day. It is not that because I like, implementing 10 different concepts in the data factory or in the ETL, I go and perform my development. No, not like that. Everyone have to follow the business requirements, right? Okay. Anyway, let's not complicate, with so many terms now. But yeah, let me keep it simple. Extract, transform, and then load. So we keep the data in a cleaned and transformed data format. In such a way, my other teammates, like who are in data analyst, who are data scientists, who are business analysts, who are SQL developers, they can consume the data that we keep ready for them. So say, for example, Power BI or Tableau, MicroStrategy, and then so on, or could be Excel or writing queries on top of the data that we keep ready for them, right? So they can, yeah, so they can connect to the data which we keep ready for them, and they can develop the visuals on top of it, right? See, even business analysts consumes the data that we keep ready. Data analysts, of course, Power BI, Tableau. Data scientists who might develop different algorithms, maybe using data science, maybe using deep learning, could be algorithms or could be LLMs at the same time, or SQLs. Maybe they can write plain SQL on top of the data and then get the data insights, right? But yes, again, as a data engineer, this is what I do. This is my, I will say, uh, excuse me. Yeah. So this is my bucket, right? So till here is what my role is. But of course, we use Power BI and Tableau for the visualization. But just to say, because we have connected here for data engineering, so this is where we stand. But again, like I've also said, we are also going to learn, Fabric, which is little new in the market at the same time. But Fabric is little over data factory and then or the other services that we are going to learn. Anyway, shortly I'll showcase you the services that we are going to learn. But anyway, right? So using Microsoft Fabric, uh, people from different designations could be data engineers, could be business analyst, could be scientists, could be data analyst, could be SQL developers. Everyone can consume the data or process the data that is available. So I call it as unified data platform. Unified data platform. So that means say you can perform data engineering related capabilities, you can perform data science related capabilities, you can also perform data analysis, which is Power BI capabilities. So this is all possible because we have a layer called One Lake. Because the fabric is developed completely on the concept of One Lake, so this has become possible. Right? So again, just to keep it short, what is Fabric? Fabric is a unified data platform. That means from people from different designations can actually work together on the same platform. Right? So that's something we have from Fabric. Right? So that's
Shiva, 1 second. So could you please elaborate that point more, like by taking an example kind of thing? So
which one? Fabric, right?
yeah, Fabric, it's a unified data platform, as you mentioned, right? So
Sure.
different, yeah.
I'll just bear with me for another 5 minutes. Like I've said, I'll open for the questionnaires in the last, guys. I'm sorry for that, but let me first complete what I intended to share with you, and then I'll come back to your question, Mukesh. Right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Please raise your hand if you have any questions. Feel free. I'm happy to address them at the last. I'm sorry for that. Right. So now let's first jump in and then try to see what are all the services we are going to learn. Okay, boss, this looks fine, but stop the story and then tell me what is that we are going to learn, right? So now let me type in the services that we are going to cover. One sec. I'm sorry, yeah. Let me type in and then help you understand what are all the services we are going to cover across the 10 days, right? So I'll just talk about what is it. Where is my this one? Yeah, intro, right? So that's something I'll be going by. And majorly we'll talk about Azure SQL. Sorry. Guys, these are all Azure. I'm not adding the term Azure again and again. DB, Data Factory, we just talked about it. Databricks. In Databricks, we'll be talking about this. Hadoop, Spark, PySpark, cluster, and there are other topics which I would be covering in the Databricks. Yeah, sorry. And then storage account, logic apps. So these are small services. Evolved. AI assistance, which is pretty much important. Sequence it. And Microsoft Fabric, like I've said. And cost management. And small services like GitHub, we'll talk about. VS Code, we'll talk about. Visual Studio Code and Storage Explorer. And so these are all majorly on Azure. I believe I have not missed anything. Let me go. Yeah, so the small services like resource group, very important. Of course, though it is small, very important. And then tax. So this is something will be on Azure. And on AWS, like I've said, IAM, S3. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, right? Anyway. Right, so these are all the three different AWS services. For AWS, I'll just have it like this. Right. So not only this, guys. So once we end with, we are going to end with. We will also talk at the end of the sessions like why one have to learn so many different services. So say many of you were from Power BI. See, if you take Power BI as an example, if you learn Power BI, technically you can go and work on developing the visuals and you can also start delivering the project. But why the hell, when you are on data engineering, why someone have to learn handful of services, right? So that's something I'll talk about it. And as a senior data engineer, how the work flows in our organization, in the sense, how do we get the work? How do I distribute to my team? And then how we get together and fixing the bugs or the issues that we come across, and then how we deliver it is something I also share across. And at the end, again, I'll talk about end-to-end project flow, detailed discussion, right? Right, so that's also something I'll be covering across the tenure. And the class timings are same time, guys. There are no change until I'll let you know. 9:30 p.m. IST to 10:30 p.m. IST, Monday to Friday. Okay. Let me see any questions on this first, and before I move on, guys.
Yeah, Shiva, as you list out AWS Glue also here. So this is another ETL kind of technology, right?
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
it's providing by the like
AWS.
AWS.
Yes, perfect. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Yes, Mukesh. See, guys, also let me add this point. See, our discussions are going to be on Azure. 90 to 93% of the discussions that we do across the 100% will be on Azure. The other over 7%, that means 7 to 8% of our discussions will be on AWS. So maybe some of you might have the question saying that do we have to learn AWS as well? Yes, absolutely, might not be needed. So I wanted my students to have a little better advantage over the others. So that is the reason why I'm adding AWS. So you can consider this as an added advantage, right? So I'm not going to force anyone to, also follow AWS, but I would highly recommend to go by it. Because see, these three concepts are being covered in Azure already. Azure already. So understanding these concepts will be very easy, believe me. Very easy, given you follow these topics. Otherwise, it will be like a nightmare at the same time. So it's like an added advantage. Don't consider it as a mandatory, one have to follow and then so on. But I highly recommend one to follow it. Right. So before I open, for questions, let me also, for the next 3 to 4 minutes, I'll walk you through the portal also at the same time. How the portal looks like is something I'll walk you through. And again, how to create the account, what is portal, how to access it, how to get the credentials, everything I'll talk in the day after tomorrow class. Today is Tuesday. Thursday class, I'll walk you through completely about the approaches that we have in creating the account. But for now, I'll, straight away walk you through the portal. So I've just, typed in portal.azure.com. No internet connection. How come here? There could be issue of my browser. Maybe I have to see if there are any updates to the browser. Anyway, by the way, I'm using Microsoft Edge. Okay. Anyways, I think I have cleared all the services, but anyways, let me see if my other laptop have. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to complicate the discussion, but this is how the portal looks like, guys. But again, how it can be created and all that story, we'll have it on day after tomorrow, just to keep it short. And of course, we have used it in the month of January. I'm not sure if you see any, building in this particular month. Okay, so here you will not see. Now it is showing January, building. This last month we have consumed some of the amount. And by the way, this account has been created using US based details. So that is why you see in the US dollars. Please don't get confused. So if you create an account using India based details, you will get it in INR. No, let's say if you use Australia based, you will see Australia dollars and that respective country dollars. So it is very clear it's US, dollars. Yeah, because it is February, you did not see anything. In the last month, we spent somewhere around $10, I believe. Yeah. Okay, but how, it works and then so on, I'll explain on day after tomorrow. But again, just to keep you uh, posted, because many of you were curious, how it looks like. So I just wanted to, give you some insights about it. I'll show you, how much is being consumed so that you'll have some idea. It is loading. Okay, one second. Okay, I don't know why it is, taking time, but anyway, I'll show you on tomorrow. But look at here. So let's say if you have to create data factory, so it is available. So if you have to create data bricks, it is storage account, key vault, resource group, right? So there are more services. If you click on it, the services that I have highlighted here will be accessed. And by the way, see, SQL Server and database are two different services on Azure, right? But for us, technically, if you, talk it on-premise, it's like, one single tool or one single application. But on Azure, technically, these are two different, services because you can have multiple databases under a server. That's how they have divided them into two different services, right? But technically, like I've said, let me take a pen here. See, data factory, yeah, you have it. You can just click on it and then create it. Say, for example, Databricks here, storage account you have here. And by the way, in the storage account, we'll be, learning about, so we'll be learning Data Lake Gen 2. Data Lake Gen 2, is the latest one. Okay, anyway, we'll call it as Data Lake Azure. And Key Vault, that's something we'll be talking about. Resource group, that's something we're talking about, right? That's how we'll be utilizing this particular portal, and then I'll walk you through. Right, guys. Now I know I'm open for questions. Guys, please raise your hand. Please don't get unmute yourself because we have multiple people and I have to respect everyone here. Please raise your hand using the Zoom tool that is available. Maybe I'll just come by first come first serve basically. And also you can post it here. Yeah. Yeah, Mukesh, go ahead here. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I have a couple of questions. So just bear with me for a few minutes.
Sure. Go
So
ahead.
yeah, I like somewhere I have seen that Azure Data Factory and Azure Data Bricks. The both tools are using in a single project, and a few pipelines are is there any relation between these two? Like,
Both are ETLs. Both can be used for ETLs, but Databricks
uh-huh.
have a little verge when you compare with Data Factory. But yes,
Mhm.
both can be used as ETL. That's where you might see the overlap. Yes, in some projects, yes, people might schedule the Databricks stuff in the Data Factory, but it's less likely to happen. But
Mhm.
yes, there might be a overlap that you might have heard of, but majorly it will not happen because both
Okay.
are ETL. See, say for example, right? See, because from the question I can clearly understand you have very good exposure towards IT, right? Say for example, SQL Server and MySQL. So do you think in any project people will use SQL Server and MySQL as well to store the data? Less likely, na? Generally, in any project, people will use only one database. So similarly here also, right? People will go by one single ETL rather than splitting the efforts between two different ETLs. Hope it answers. Hmm?
Yeah, yes. Um, and one more thing, like, could you please go on to the this last slide?
The fabric, yeah. Tell me.
Yeah. So could you please elaborate me the this on this slide?
See, again, I don't want to deep dive today because it's too early to talk about it. But like I've said, say for example, you are a Power BI developer. Say I'm a data engineer, and say we also have a SQL
Okay, got
developer.
it. Yeah, yeah, now got it. Whatever the the services we have in the Microsoft provided by the Microsoft, all will be accessed
Absolutely.
by at one place.
One
That's what.
place, absolutely. That's why we call it
Okay.
as unified. Unified means we all can combine and then work on the same platform. General English terminology, unified. So that's why
Yeah.
we call it as unified data.
Okay. So and one more thing. Could you please go on to the what we call this architecture diagram?
Mhm.
So, as you mentioned here, we extracting the data and loading into the raw database. Here, the data ingestion, we are doing the ingestion that will be considered as a load, right?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, extract and load. So here you will
Yeah.
extract and here you
Mhm.
will.
Yeah, extract and load. Then again, where will be the transformations? So,
Okay.
why I'm asking? So, we have already data in the source databases. Instead of applying the transformations after extracting, and then loading our final output into our final database, we are loading the end. That means we are whatever the data we have in the source database, that data we are loading into our target database.
Destinations,
Then we
yes.
are again applying the transformations.
Okay, so this is something I generally explain on the fourth day or fifth day, basically, because you have raised it. See, there are two kind of
Mhm.
process. One is ETL, one is ELT. Guys, this is for everyone, by the way. Okay, so not only for the person who have raised, and it is also a important concept. I'll again deep dive as and when we progress, right? So in the ETL or ELT, that the T is optional. Here, the T is
Okay.
optional, not necessary. Every process you have to use the T. T is
Mm-hmm.
majorly the business logics. So let's say if you don't have any business logic, then T is not going to be in place. But say
Yes.
if you have extract, load is mandatory. See, you take a book
Mm-hmm.
from the rack. Again, you take a book from the rack. You might read it or not, right? Let's say you got a phone call and then you were on the phone for the next 1 hour. You might not be able to read it, but you will place the book back, right? You will not keep the book in your hand forever. You will place the book back. So that's how you have to consider. If you have extract, you have to have load. But whether you are performing the transformation between E and L, so after E and L is something majorly based on the technology and also the business requirements. But yes,
Okay.
Data Factory supports both of them.
Yeah, that's what my actually my question is. Like, anyhow, we are loading the final output into our data marts or data final data tables, right? So again, we are creating a stage. It's a kind of stage layer we are creating here, raw database. So that means the replica of our source database we are creating here, right? So I didn't differentiate why we have already data in our source databases. Why we are again creating that replica data in our target database.
Okay, see, this is a different question from what you have raised earlier. Right now,
Yeah.
I think everyone have understand transform is optional basically. See here, in this example, I'm getting data from a hospital, getting data from a bank, getting data from a supermarket. Let's say if I own all these businesses and then I wanted to understand the sales that I've done for the 2025 year, I can't go to all these distributed sources and then go and get the data, right? So rather, if I have the data in one place, I can simply query my source saying that, okay, boss, give me my hospital sales for 2025. Give me my supermarket sales for 2024. I can ask one source, right? Instead of asking multiple different sources. You can also think that way,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right? But of course, your question is very large, so it have unlimited answer, but just to keep it short, that's all. Again, assume I am running, Shiva is running multiple different businesses like
Mm.
hospitals, banks, and then supermarkets. So that's how you can correlate.
Mhm.
Yeah, hope that answers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, and one more thing, now we are dealing two different ETL tools in with respect to the Azure ADF and Azure Data Factory. These two are two different ETL tools, as you said, right?
Sorry.
So,
Azure is a platform. It's not a
no, no, no.
Databricks
Yeah,
and
as
Databricks.
Azure is providing Data Factory and Databricks.
Hmm,
These two are two different ETL
hmm, hmm, hmm,
things, right?
hmm, 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 hmm.
Correct me if I am wrong.
Right. See, Databricks have more capability than Data Factory. It also have storage capabilities, but Data Factory doesn't have
Okay,
the storage capabilities, right? So there is a
okay. Yeah,
difference
exactly.
of
That's what
that.
my question was. Okay.
That's what, right?
Mhm.
So as and when we progress, I'll showcase you everything, but just to answer is it doesn't have storage capabilities.
Okay, okay.
Data Factory. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mukesh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Omkar,
thank
please
you.
go ahead. Here.
Yes, Shiva. Earlier you have mentioned that we have multiple ETL tools like ADF. May I know what are those?
See, we have on-premise SSIS, Informatica, AWS Glue is one. Google, I have its own, ETL. So there were many in the market like that. Yeah. Right.
Okay. And what is the major difference in ETL and orchestration?
It's the same here. In the ETL, you perform the orchestration.
Okay, got it.
Under ETL, you do that. Yeah.
Okay, and one more question, like what are the major sources for extracting data and major tools for transforming data and where the data usually gets loaded into?
See, if you are talking about the Azure terms, see, the data can be from anywhere. See, if I have to give my, work experience, we get data from Oracle, we get data from AWS, we get data from CSV files, SQL servers at the same time. And of course, MySQL. Of course, there were many more, just to say, right? So
Oh,
we load them into Azure SQL Server. We maintain Azure SQL Server in our organization, site. Of course, that's again Azure SQL Server, not on-premise. So we load there basically. Yeah.
okay.
But again, it based on the project. So there is no specific case saying that okay, everyone will get data from only MySQL or so. Because case to case it varies. We have some projects where we get data from Salesforce. Right. So likewise, we have generally, we touch base almost majority of the sources that are available in the market. But again, project to project, it varies.
Okay, understood. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Raghu?
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Then
Yeah.
it's a last slide you mentioned here. The one lake is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that key difference between one lake and ADLS, Azure Data Lake Services?
It is nothing but the
Both are
same
same.
here. It is nothing but the same. End of the day, ADLS and OneLake are designed to handle semi-structured data and unstructured data. Okay. But on top of OneLake, you can develop different items. In Fabric, we call it as items, but in Azure, we call it as services. On the OneLake, you can actually create tables also here. But in storage account, you can't do that. And there were many more, but yes, that's one example where everyone can correlate easily.
Okay. One more I have. What is the batch process and streamline process?
See, batch is like our online banking NEFT, right? We do leave about UPI, right? Online banking, you have NEFT and then IMPS, right? Batch processing is equal to NEFT, IMPS is equal to stream. That means immediately it will go. Let's say if you have to transfer me the fee, right? If you do IMPS, I'll get immediately. If you do NEFT, there is a time, typically the bank runs the job. During that time, I'll get maybe, hardly 2 hours or 3 hours, might not be more than that, right? So similarly, you can go.
Real time, what data we will get? It's both we
See,
will get.
majority of the projects runs on batch. Majority, because streaming is very expensive, very tough also to maintain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm saying not everything, majority. Take my points actually, right? Maybe 5 to 10% of the projects might run on streaming basically. So that's why see Databricks and Data Factory or batch, because majority of the ETLs that you have in the market only supports batch processing, because streaming is very expensive and very complex to maintain basically. But
Okay.
understanding wise, it is easy. I can, of course, I'll talk about it as and when we progress. But yes, these only supports. But Fabric have streaming also, real-time intelligence also in place. But it is very very limited, very limited. Maybe they will expand the scope of it maybe in the future. But for now, it is very limited.
The final question one. What is Redshift? Is it AWS
Redshift is
tool
a
or
data warehouse on AWS. That's a AWS service, by the way. It's a
kind
data.
of ADF, right?
Sorry.
It's a storage services.
See, you are talking about Redshift or Data Factory.
Redshift, I'm asking.
See, Redshift is a different service that is from AWS, and it can be used to store the data. You can correlate like your SQL server.
Okay,
Hmm.
got it. Thank you.
Perfect, yeah. Thank you.
Hi Shiva, this is Kameshwar.
Hey,
Uh,
Kamesh.
yeah, Shiva, actually, the thing is, yeah, whatever you mentioned in the PPT, yeah, that's absolutely good. But the thing is, what is the exactly we are going? Do you have any course curriculum? Like, what are the topics? High level, okay, I understood Databricks and ADL and Data Factory. But in Databricks, actually, the thing is, what is the level? Okay, so it is related to only the data ingestion point of view, or what are the connections we
Okay,
are using?
sure. Because your question is so specific to the Databricks. See, in
Correct.
the Databricks, like I've said, these are the variety of first, initial topics that we talk about. But when I come into the concepts that we are going to learn, see, we are going to learn only the concepts that are related to the data engineering. See, Databricks is very large, right? It also have other capabilities at the same time, but our focus will be on the data engineering. How do you extract the data? How do you ingest the data? Right? How do you transform the data, load the data? What are the variety of features that we have which can be leveraged to perform the ETL capabilities is something we'll be covering in Databricks. But of course, I'll also showcase you how you can write, PySpark from the scratch,
Okay.
starting from how you can declare a variable, assign some value, print it. What is Databricks? What is notebook? From that level we'll go.
So on the software's point of view, everything is in the hands-on only, right? So
Of
we can
course,
able to
of
do.
course, of course, everything.
Whatever you are doing, we can able to do same thing my side also, right?
Absolutely. That's the agenda here, basically. But
Fabric and everything.
absolutely, everything can be done, but you have to create the accounts on your own. How to do that? What are the approaches that we have is something we'll start talking from day after tomorrow, not now. Hmm?
Okay.
But yes, like you have said, yes, you can do it by yourself, and I'll guide you if you are stuck somewhere, and all. Of course, I'm there to help you, and then so on. But yes, technically, you can also do the same.
Okay, fine, Shiva from my
Yeah,
side.
sure, Kamesh. Yeah, thank you.
Hi Shiva.
Hey, Ali.
Shiva, just now you said starting we are using cloud computing at Azure. We can use for cloud, right? So we can cover any snowflakes here, Shiva.
No, no, yeah, I will be only on Azure and AWS. Guys, we are not going to learn anything out of Azure and AWS because that
Okay.
itself is a ocean. If I add Snowflake also, I'll have people who will not pay me the fee also. Okay.
Okay.
It will be too much already. We are adding AWS. Okay.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, but very clear. That's a very good question, guys. We are not going to learn anything out of Azure and AWS. But of course, GitHub is out of Azure, but still we'll be
Mm,
learning to the extent whichever is needed to Azure only. We will not go beyond, GitHub, because GitHub itself is so much big.
Yeah.
Huh?
And
Okay.
yeah. And Shiva, just this regarding also, this recording session also you had sent to me. Like everyday sections is the recording.
Of course, see, that's what this
Yeah.
session is being recorded even at the moment. Guys, I'll
Mm.
start sharing the recordings from day number 4. Right?
Yeah,
Please
number
bear
four.
me
Okay.
with the first 4 days, because I'll gather, your IDs, I'll create a drive, and then I'll share it. From day 4 onwards, it will be automated. You need not to come to me every day. I'll just drop in the drive and then you will access it automatically. Yeah, but first
Okay.
4 days you have to bear with me. Yeah.
Yeah. And Shiva, one more thing. This ADF, we are creating pipelines, things, right? All the things in ADF, right? So how to configure this Microsoft Fabric, Shiva? This one, we can. This is also one
Fabric is outside of Azure, basically.
outside
It
of
is, it
Azure.
is not
Okay.
inside the Azure. It is
Okay.
outside of Azure, basically. I'll guide you how to create it and how to access it and then so on.
Okay. So once we create pipelines in Azure, we can access in Fabric, right? Like
Oh,
that.
no, not like that. You can link that
Not.
late. Recently, they have released that capability, but think in such a way, this is different and that is different. Two different
Okay.
environments. See, MySQL and SQL Server, you can write the same query. Both are different applications. You can correlate in such a way.
Yeah. Thank you, Shiva.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes. Yeah,
So
Raghu.
without having the Python knowledge, can we survey Azure?
See, I'm not sure. I think we have talked it, but again, right? See, Python, see, across, I think I have listed down so many different services. So out of these services, we are going to write PySpark only on the Databricks. So let's say if you have to work on Data Factory, even if you know Python, there is no use, right? So if you have to work on, say for example, SQL Server and database, you need not to have any Python knowledge out there. Yes. But let's say if you have to work on Databricks, yes, having Python knowledge is mandatory. But other than this, might not be needed, basically.
For orchestration, required any priorities not
Sorry?
required.
Sorry, any? I lost your voice, basically.
Yeah, am I audible right?
No, you are breaking, Raghu. For orchestration, maybe you can type in the chat. Maybe I'll just pick it from there. Yeah. Anyone else? Raghu, I think you can use the chat. I think you are breaking.
And Shiva, what about that weekends timings? Same timings, weekends also.
No, yeah. Here I have highlighted Monday to Friday. Please let me take some break
Uh,
on Saturday and Sunday here.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Because I have other commitments on Saturday and Sunday. Absolutely, we won't connect on Saturday and Sunday. My
Okay.
schedules are completely different on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Shiva, this is Harsha.
Yeah, Harsha. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have any knowledge of this SQL Server or DB. So,
Okay.
yeah.
See, anyway, that is why I've also added it. We are going to talk about SQL Server and DB, but guys, we won't deep dive too much into writing the queries on day number 2 and 3. But guys, again, this is for everyone, not only for Harsha. I think I've told this to many of you when I was talking with you on the phone. See, we will be using this SQL Server and then the database till we reach the end of Azure classes. Almost last third classes till the last 3 classes will be using SQL Server, right? So yes, but maybe I can help you personally, Harsha, on how you can leverage or develop your SQL knowledge. But yes, of course, that is also being covered as a part of curriculum, basically.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Guys, again, I think let me reiterate, from this question. See, my curriculum will help someone to gain knowledge from the beginners level to the intermediate level, right? But again, don't get confused with my wording here. See, here we will be learning from what is data factory. See, today I talked about what is ETL, right? Maybe I have taken less than 5 minutes, but still I have covered what is ETL, what is data factory, right? So from that level, we are going to learn all the services that are highlighted on the screen. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Yeah.
Hi, so this is one few more points added to SQL.
Sorry, Suman, few more points added to SQL in the sense?
Means difference between um,
On-premise and
ETL.
Azure, right?
Yes, yes.
We'll talk about when we get there. I'll talk about what is on-premise SQL Server and Azure SQL Server. What is the difference? Well, I'll talk about this.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely,
That's
of course. All that will be discussed.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Could you please check once I texted in chat?
Oh, in the chat right. Sorry, yes. Okay. So Raghu have dropped it for orchestration. K8s tool required here. K8s. I'm not.
Yeah, Kubernetes.
Kubernetes. No. We are not going to learn. That's what someone have asked that, right? Are we learning Snowflake? Guys, no, guys, absolutely. We'll be on Azure and then AWS. Only the services that I have covered here will be covered. Maybe one service out of this I might discuss, but nothing related to Kubernetes. It is out of our data engineering subject. I don't know how did you get that. Only these highlighted will be covered, guys. Right? Let me reiterate it. There is one migration tool. Maybe I'll talk. Of course, I have not noted here. But that's a small one. I'll talk when I get there, basically. Yeah. Okay, guys, we are over 7 minutes. I understand you might have some questions. Please keep a note of them. Again, tomorrow we'll be connecting at the same time, 9:30 p.m. IST. But the Zoom link that you have received today will not work for tomorrow. Please get in touch with your point of contact to get the latest Zoom link. Tomorrow also you can walk in. Absolutely, there is no registration required. By the way, tomorrow is going to be, I'm sorry that I missed it. Tomorrow is going to be a live demo. How we can make use of multiple services and then solve a small data engineering problem is something I'll walk you through. Right? So that is going to be the tomorrow live session. There will be not much of theory like today. I think this is my first and last slide, like I've told you, right? I don't have slides. Generally, I'll have zero slides because day one have to be like that. It has become in the